Turf Talk with Drew Miller.
Welcome to Tiger Turf Talk. We're excited to be partnering with the Toro company to kick off an all-new summer series focused on their upcoming Grounds Leadership Academy happening in June. Over the next 10 weeks, we will be releasing podcasts following Drew's road trip to Minneapolis and back, where he will be meeting with grounds professionals across the country. Please join us as we talk about their careers, the properties they manage, and their favorite Toro equipment. This episode of Tiger Turf Talk is brought to you by the Toro Company. For over 100 years, the Toro Company has been a leader in innovative solutions for turf maintenance. Through a strong network of professional distributors, Toro proudly offers a wide range of commercial-grade equipment. Visit Toro.com to explore their full lineup of products.
Welcome back to another episode of the Toro Grounds Leadership Podcast Tour here in Ames, Iowa. We're here at Iowa State with Mr. Joe Hill, the Superintendent of Fields, Grounds, and Custodial Work here at the incredible facility at Iowa State that we just toured, which is phenomenal. How are you doing this evening?
I'm great, man.
Sorry to have you here so late.
No, hey, thanks for having me.
Thanks for having me. What are you talking?
I've hung out at work late before.
Just a couple times.
Just
right?
a few times.
Just once or twice. Yeah. Nothing crazy. So obviously this is fresh to you. First 6 months, right? 6 months.
Yeah, I've been here 5-6 months. Feels like it was late January, early February.
And it's a big change. Obviously, we know each other from New York. God knows how long ago.
2000. I was in New York.
Like 16, 15? 17, 15.
I left right before the World Series, so 15. Yeah,
15,
because
right?
I started in Reno in September of 15.
So it's a long journey.
Yeah,
been to a bunch of different places. Where did you sort of find the turf grass industry, and what has been your journey up to this point? You know.
Yeah. So probably similar to a lot of guys that work in baseball. I'm a has-been baseball player. Played a couple years of small college ball.
Buddy. You and me both. I almost tore my ACL one time. So I stopped playing that. I was like, no, we're good.
So I played a couple years of small college ball, ran out of talent, and my first kind of real turf job was in 2003. I was playing in Spokane, Washington, which is where the Spokane Indians are home. Mm-hmm. That's the single A team for the Texas Rangers. At the time, I believe their affiliations changed now, but the head groundskeeper at the time was the older brother of a guy that I grew up playing baseball with. So I knew Brett, and I needed a summer job between school and baseball season.
For sure.
So called him, asked him if I could be on the crew.
Yeah.
Not thinking turf management. I was thinking, hey, summer gig around baseball ballpark sounds awesome. So my first day, he put me on a 3100 Sidewinder, actually.
First day? That's
my first
awesome.
day, put a pattern in, and I was...
The rest is history.
The teeth were in me, man, and I haven't let go.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's awesome. Now, the big thing with your story is you had a change from when you were at Reno. You went into a golf course job, and now you're back here in sports turf. What has that sort of been like, to see both sides of the fence and really, some of the brightest minds in our industry come from the golf side into the sports side. What was that time like for you and sort of coming back to it here at Iowa State?
Yeah, so interestingly, from the Indians, I went to the Red Sox and then the Mariners and then the Mets and then Reno. And that was however many, decade plus. My wife is a coach here at Iowa State, and, I was still in Reno at the time when she started here. So we had a house in Reno, we had a house in Ames, and the general manager position came open at the country club here, and I knew a few people out there just from being around Ames and in town, and they called and asked if I was interested in that, and so it was a huge change. I mean,
for sure.
Now you're dealing with inside stuff, and I'm sure there's a million groundskeepers out there that are like, I don't know what the GM president's doing, and I could do it way better. Well, now I'm thrust into this position where I have to worry about memberships and food and beverage, and
you're like, wait a second, maybe I need to change my mind on that one.
It was, and so
where's my grass?
So my first meeting with the superintendent there, obviously that dynamic can be
very interesting.
And he's a great guy, and I met with him, and I was like, look, man, we got 6 departments here. I need you to handle yours because I have to learn how to do 5 other ones.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have to do it really fast. And it was right when COVID started. And so,
which means, boom.
yeah, we have rules that we don't know. They're changing every 5 minutes.
And everyone's
so
there. You guys probably had the most traffic of like most
we did
places,
because you could still golf. We opened the pool because we kind of lived in that gray area with Iowa and all the political stuff that happened here. And so
Ooh, yay.
membership, yeah, right. Membership grows, and so like I was kind of jumped into the fire feet first, and so because it was COVID, we kind of had that year of we don't know what's going to happen, right? We had a built-in reason of like, we don't know if this is going to work, and we really kind of thrived in it, but it pushed me into some areas that I never thought I'd be in, and I'm. In retrospect, right, very grateful for that because now I approach this job much differently.
And it's good because it's pretty similar in the sense of the fact in a college space, you have so many departments you're dealing with. And obviously you said you're in charge of the custodial staff for all of the facilities, which is a nightmare in itself. And we all know that,
Well, and I think, with my position at the country club, right, like I was dealing with every single department, every single need, and also running a multi-million-dollar business. And so my appreciation, right, it's just a grass news, bro. So my appreciation for how challenging my boss's jobs are here, right, from the AD to the senior associate AD who's who my department reports to, I feel like I can try and make his job a little easier knowing how much he's got on his plate. So, skills that I never thought that I would get are really helping out.
For sure. First 5-6 months, a big part of sort of developing the space, and obviously you're making major changes. Obviously your artificial soccer is becoming a natural grass field. Kudos to you. It doesn't happen often,
It's an exciting project.
Especially in this day and age, in this area, out in the Midwest. What has it been like sort of, coming in? We talked about Tim Van Loo a lot coming in, sort of making it your own space and developing not only the grounds and the facilities, which, by the way, Jack Trice is, but developing your staff. Obviously there are so many different components that go into that. What has it been like for you here?
So I think the biggest thing with this department, right, taking this one on, is that the weight of the history of this department, right? It goes all the way back to Mike Andreessen, who was, in my opinion, is on the Mount Rushmore of turf guys. He's one of the originals, and so, and I've had a relationship with Mike for about 16, 17 years. And then it goes to Tim Van Loo, right? He's up there as well, and then it goes to Josh, and it's very humbling coming into this job because there's some excellent turf managers before this. So really, I think it's less about change and more about, now you got to steer the ship that's been steered really well for a long time. And so taking that on is like, I'm very excited about it. It's humbling, but I'm encouraged by it because those guys laid a foundation here where our bosses let us and help us make these decisions where when we want to go from synthetic to natural, they say, yeah, sounds good. Get us the numbers, we'll run it through the system, and we'll figure it out. And so it's great to have that, but I'm appreciative of what those guys did for all those years because it wasn't always that easy.
Absolutely.
So it's exciting. It's a job that I've been trying to get a job here for a long time. And so
he's like, somebody, please.
Well, and to be totally honest with you, when I took the GM job, I had accepted the fact that this job was probably never going to be open. So I had moved on from
Tim was here,
totally moved on from it. And so when Josh decided to shift gears and go somewhere else, the AD actually sent me a text message, which I didn't have his number at the time, and I was like, I don't know who this is, but
who are you?
Well, so I called Kate, and I was like, hey, I want you to check in your phone number or in your phone book. And
You're gonna need to type this number.
If you have this number,
let me know.
So she's like, yeah, it's Jamie, and I was like, I got to call you back, and so that started that conversation, and obviously, Jamie's the king around here,
and that's
when
awesome.
the king calls,
that's awesome that
answer.
You were his first call, that's, you say humbling, but that's just incredible.
Yeah, and it's like, that's something that I take a ton of pride in, but it's, also, it's pretty neat.
I think he's happy,
I hope so.
I was like, seeing the fields, he's very happy.
We
with his
try our
decision.
best, right?
Yeah.
And I know we'll probably get into it, but Michael Young, who is also here, he's been here for a lot of years as a student and now a full-time assistant turf manager. He and I joke, like, we're not really sure what our title is, but Mike is a phenomenal turf manager, and one of those, he's like, former assistants of mine, Danny Losito, Leo Withrow, who you kind of just stay out of the way. They know what they're doing.
Going,
so let me know how I can help. And
both of their minds are going like 1,000 miles an hour, figuring everything out. You're like,
so, most of the time,
we're gonna stay here.
most of the time, I'm checking in with Mike. Man, like, what do you need me to do?
What's going on?
Get me out of the office for a minute.
You go answer my emails. I'm done with this.
What can I help with, man? Give me a mower to hop on.
For sure. Now, you mentioned he was a student here, came in, and it's been a very long time, that there's been an incredible relationship between the turf program here at Iowa State and the athletic grounds crew, How has that been? It's something, I wouldn't say it's too far off like other schools have it, but it's definitely deeply rooted here at Iowa State. And the projects that you guys do when it comes to actually growing your fields in here on campus, campus, you know what I mean?
Yep.
It's something that other people are looking to mimic, and it's just something that when you look at it face value, the money brought back in while promoting the education of those students is just tenfold, you know? What has it been like sort of seeing that firsthand and become a part of it,
It's kind of interesting because there's a couple of folds to that question, right? We grow our own sod here. We have the ability to have a sod farm, which we can then have our extension specialist, Adam Tomes, who's the man. I absolutely love Tomes. We have a grad student out there that's doing some work out there, and he manages the farm day to day. So that's an opportunity that most students don't have a chance to do, right?
Yeah, I grew that field. And once it goes
no
in,
big deal.
What's up with it? I know.
And so then we have,
just like on the resume, bold.
Well, I mean,
Sorry.
we have some students that grew in Jack Trice, right? So they have a pretty nice picture resume where they can say, hey, I was a part of that.
For sure.
So we have that, that angle, and then our entire staff is turf students, and so don't require a ton of motivation, but I have to kind of remind myself that my job is as much managing a department as it is like being a teacher.
For sure.
Because these guys have phenomenal internships, and they go out and they do some really cool things, but they don't learn everything, right? And so there is part of that where I'm part teacher too, which is weird to me because in my head I'm still a 25-year-old guy trying to get a job.
Nothing wrong with
right?
that,
Always,
it's
I always
crazy
feel
how
like I'm
that's
trying to fight for my job, right? I need to prove that I belong here, and so it's kind of this job is very unique in that way. But it's really cool to have the students in here and then have them go to the Kansas City Chiefs and work for Travis.
I might see Skeet tomorrow.
Yeah,
I am going down there.
Yeah,
so we'll see.
Skeet's down there. We got a kid in Milwaukee working for Ryan, and we've got a dude working for Pioneer Cleveland Browns. And
nice.
It's fun to see them kind of spread out all over the country and then come back and they've grown a little bit, and then we teach them a little bit more. So not a position I ever thought I'd see myself in. Like my goal was always to run a major league ballpark. And it's kind of funny how life changes a little bit and roads lead you somewhere, right?
Trust me, I know. I'm in a high school classroom, so.
But the work you're doing is, and I could argue this with anybody, like the work that you're doing with your program, this podcast, and the information that you're putting out, like I could argue that it has been as beneficial to this industry as what anybody's done. Right, because we all talk about, we need to do more, we need to get kids interested. Well, you're actually doing it, right? And so, kudos to you. This is outstanding, man. I've watched every episode, I've listened to every podcast. Like, I love this whole platform, and like
I appreciate it.
I kid you not, man. It's an honor to be on this. It's really cool.
Awesome. That's awesome. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Of course, I was gonna have you on here. I just couldn't find your phone number. I'm honest with you. I was like, Leah, what's his number? And it was like at the softball league World Series, and she never gave it to me, and I just never texted her about it. I was like, shit, I keep forgetting. Like
at some point, you got to like 100, and I was like, man, what do I got to do to get on this thing?
Oh no,
I think I've done some stuff.
Oh no, right. no, that is not true at all. Hey, I texted you technically it's like 90 because the last like 15 have been like one location. So
true.
In my defense,
you did have to come to me. So
yes,
thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime.
And I appreciate that. It means a lot, because there's just so much that goes into it. Like this trip going up to Toro and being able to, showcase the kids' work and everything that they're doing because. And probably something that you have the same sentiment with your guys that are from the turf program. It's like, it's really all on them, whether or not they're successful, whether or not our program is successful, like they're the ones that are at the foundation of it. And it's their vision just as much as it's mine. And it's been incredible to, be able to be a part of it. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. You've given them the opportunity, man. Sometimes it's all you need.
And it's your kids that are given the opportunity for them too. With Danny, we're going back down in a couple of days.
Yeah, Danny's a stud, man. It's kind of funny. I left New York to take the Reno job, and when I did take that job,
I didn't call you crazy. I promise.
So I was partially crazy, but
because I heard soccer was involved, I was like, no.
Well, so interestingly enough, when I interviewed for that job, Eric Blanton, who was the head groundskeeper at the time, the guy that I took over after, was good friends with Deacon. And when that job came open, I talked to Bill about it because I kind of felt like I was getting to a point where it's like, all right, like I've been an assistant for a long time. Let's see if I actually know what I'm doing. Right. So talked to him about it, and typical Bill fashion, he's like, well, if I didn't have such a good spot here, I'd go after that because Reno's awesome. And so took that, and Eric Edelstein, the president at the time, was very open with me during the process. He's like, this is what I want to do. Like, I want to usher in soccer. I want to do events here. I want to turn this place into a machine. And
I would have said bye-bye.
Well,
go ahead.
I was like, you know what? I kind of feel like I want to, I try this out a little bit.
Yeah. How was after the first sod job?
The first year, going back to Danny, Danny was my first assistant there.
Yeah.
And it was he and I credit him. He was part of the foundation of what we ended up doing over 5 years there, and getting it to the point of where it was, like, because he and I kind of felt that whole thing out as we were going. I mean, we were just trying to figure it out.
For sure.
Yeah, 2 full-time guys. We don't.
And there's so much going on.
Yeah, I came from the Mets. He came from the Padres. So we're both used to having 75 guys around to do this stuff.
Yeah,
and now all of a sudden it's 2 dudes in the middle of a desert.
Yeah.
Trying to figure this out.
Freaking desert. And the thing about it was, like, just following along from like an outside perspective, like, there were so many layers to all of the events, having to remove the mound every time, having to do the infield, change the infield back, like, there's so much contamination that you're just like, oh shit, like, it's crazy,
There's
so
million
sorry.
parts.
It was awesome to watch from the outside in, and the way you guys really combated all of those things, to be able to, help get the sport in the area, but. We should figure out how to compensate you better. I'm just saying. Reno Aces. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry.
Eric, he took really good care of me, and I had a great relationship with Eric.
I'm glad.
And ultimately, I got the GM position here in Ames because of the things that Eric taught me, and we're still tight today. And the COO there, Chris Holland, the VP Andrew Doherty, like the 4 of us, like. We're all about the same age, kind of at the same spot in life, and so
it's a good machine.
We took it on head on, and so, but yeah, I mean, Danny and I got super close there, and he's like my little brother now, and one of my best friends, and I'm super proud of him. Like, he's an absolute stud in this industry, and it's cool to see. It's not surprising to me. I mean, I saw it when he was there. I mean, he was good enough at that time.
It's a cool moment when you see those kids.
I love it.
Yeah, it's like, damn.
And what Leah's doing now is super cool. I had another assistant, Adam Vasitas, who's now up in Milwaukee, which is where he's from. And the 3 of them, I had 5 total assistants, Drew Tyson and Corey Diaz. Drew ended up going to Columbia for a little bit, and I lost track of him, and Corey's down in Texas. doing some turf management somewhere. I lost track of him as well. But
There's a lot of options down there.
yeah, and so each one of those guys, were probably as good a teacher to me as I was them, and
That's always awesome.
Yeah.
And it's
still been ideas off those guys all the
exactly like it's hard for some people to like take that like first step of understanding like, oh, if I were to have an open mind, you're going to learn just as much as they're learning from you, you know, because
in different stuff.
It's just there's so much.
Yeah, I mean, you can look at, like, let's just use Danny and Leah as an example. Danny's very, very intelligent and very thorough in his thought.
Yeah.
Right? And that's where he and I are very similar. Like, we're kind of both think tanks, and our text thread is so boring. outside of the turf world, people would be like, "You guys are the biggest nerds ever." But like, we're always bouncing ideas off of each other. Where Leah was the complete opposite. She was a better teacher for me because like she kind of taught me how to organize all of this stuff. Like it was controlled chaos there.
Yeah.
And I had a board like this there with the entire year on it. And she kind of kicked my butt.
I
into
call
being
her
like,
Mrs. Calendar.
like, dude, that's what she's like. I need a calendar.
Calendars on calendars on calendars.
I was like,
and then there's sticky notes on the calendar. Leah, are you listening?
Yeah.
Stop it.
But we love you.
we love you very much. Don't get that wrong. It's just
same with you, Danny boy.
I love you, Danny.
And
see you in a few days.
Yeah, and Vasitas, like in his, I don't know if you know Adam. He like his approach towards life is so fun. And like, so we'd ramp up and do all this stuff, and Adam just like he was always very, very silly, and like that kind of brought it down to like, this is a fun job. We need to remember that this is fun, but also a really good turf manager too.
I always forget who I'm talking to. I've talked to too many people recently. It's Travis Hogan. He's like, if we're not having fun, what are we doing here? You know, like if there isn't someone like can make you laugh on the job, and obviously he's probably the one causing it. If you're not laughing, then like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You know, because if you're like struggling and you don't have someone to make you laugh, you're
Right.
just gonna just hate it.
Yeah, this job is challenging,
Oh,
and so
yeah.
you have to figure out how to bring the joy into it. And I've been in this for 20-something years now, and
Killing it.
I still jump out of bed. I love this job.
That's
but
awesome.
I mean, it definitely has its days where it's like,
Still look like you're 25. If it makes you feel better.
I don't feel like it.
I'm 28 and I don't feel like it. Okay.
You're doing all right, man.
Oh gosh, I have time. Thanks.
You got time.
So obviously you're talking about a lot of your interns, assistants, everyone that you've mentored, and part of this whole initiative that Toro is doing with this academy is like sort of discussing sort of what is meant to be like in that role and how can we benefit from sort of the things that you did or other people did, and talking about it. When you obviously are mentoring these individuals, whether that's Leah, Danny, or the ones you have now who are all over the place, what are some of the things that you're really focusing on as a teacher, like you said, to ensure that not only are they going to be able to know the skills, but how are they going to be able to deal with like certain people and certain spaces, understanding a lot of different, not human resources or anything, but like just relationships, you know? What has it been like sort of putting that all into sort of your management style and practice and leadership?
So it's probably a combination, right? I've worked for a lot of really good guys. I started at the baseball level, where it really kind of started with David Meller in Boston, and then Bob Christofferson in Seattle, and Bill Deacon in New York, and
The lineup right there.
and then but then it jumps to like the administrative level, like Eric Edelstein and Doherty, Chris Holland. You kind of steal something from everybody, right? Good, bad, or indifferent. Like I always think, like every opportunity you have, whether you loved it or hated it, like you need to take something from it. And
For sure.
like over those years, you kind of develop who you're going to be as a leader. And what I've kind of come to the conclusion of is like I think everybody is different, and they all need to be led differently, right? So each student is, some are great out in the field, and they just need to be polished on the administrative level, where some are better in this setting, and you can kind of see the path that students may be taking, like you'd be a really great chemical salesman.
Yeah,
you'd be great at
you're
baseball,
a salesman.
Right? Like,
you are not a people person
yeah,
outside of this.
You can see where their personality is gonna take them, but
Yeah,
ultimately
yeah.
you need to have a round skill set, right? You need to be able to do everything at least when you get to a certain point.
Yeah, certain level of it.
You know, keep going back to him, but like Danny didn't need any.
Your love, Danny, just so you know.
He's one of my best buds, right? Danny like didn't need guidance on the field.
Yeah.
Like, he had already worked for Luke Yoder. He had already worked for John Turnauer. So like he knew.
You gotta love
what
the
to
Yoder
do.
tree, you know. What I call
Well,
it.
it's kind of like Deacons now,
Yeah.
right? Like there's like there's a million guys now.
Yeah, yeah.
But like Danny didn't need on-field stuff, where Danny didn't have the experiences with like the C-level, like sitting in a boardroom and
Yeah,
having
yeah.
a conversation with the president and getting comfortable being around ultimately all of our bosses.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I told him at the time. I was like, it's an important skill to have to be able
Yeah.
to talk to the janitor or the CEO, right? And you need to be able to do both. And I've always been pretty comfortable in that setting. I would say I'm an okay turf manager, and I'm better at the skills of people. That's
I don't.
where I'm good.
I'm terrible at grass. If you didn't know.
You know, I can figure it out. But I
think you've done a pretty good job.
I know
Okay.
my strengths and weaknesses, right? Like I know my strengths and weaknesses.
You're in an interview. My weakness is grass,
Sorry about that.
but it's a strength, just so
yeah.
you know.
Mow it, water it, feed it. You know.
Pretty solid. Yeah.
Good fertility program, good fungicide program. Let's go.
Sorry, I didn't
But
mean
like,
to interrupt.
you know, so he's an example of like, you know, he didn't need certain things, but there were other things where he just needed practice. And I think that's how I've developed. Is like my leadership is based on who it actually is.
And I love that.
I try and spend the time figuring out what makes that person tick.
Yeah.
And pushing them in that direction, but also, you know, like the stuff that I see, like you need to hop on a sprayer because you're uncomfortable around them. So go spray something.
Yeah.
Right. Throw a wetting agent
Not
in there or
people,
something,
though.
right? Yeah. Like just get out there and learn to fail.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's how you're going to do.
Yes.
And go with it. So
Welcome to my classroom.
my leadership, I try and be, if we're going to stick with a sports theme here, like I try and be a player's coach. Like I'm always going to defend my team and go to bat for them and try the best that I can for them. And my approach has always kind of been like, how can I help you? Like more of a service role, right? Like
Yeah.
that's kind of how I feel.
Servant leadership, you know, it's something special, especially in this industry. You know, there's just so many things. I still remember back in New York, you know, I don't know how you guys dealt with me. I was a hot mess. I still remember.
great,
You
man.
remember the in between the doubleheader, and I put the stakes in for the foul line. You kept ripping.
Yeah.
I was like, you know, he's pissed right now, and I'm like, oh my god,
Not mad. Just like, all right, we need to teach you. How
need to
do this.
work on that one.
Just a quick lesson.
No,
and I don't
for
know. I
sure.
don't remember who. It was probably Shaq that got on you, but yeah, just a quick teach. It's easy. It's right. It's a teaching moment.
No, and again, like that was something that I always, you know, took with me, you know, because people like Bill and Matt and you and Ryan, like fresh out of like learning from you guys, you know, I hadn't had any experience in the industry before that, you know, other than at Tech, but
Yeah.
it was, you know, not comforting, but it was so helpful in the sense that I didn't have to ever be worried about, you know, being in trouble.
Yeah.
You know, because when you have kids, you know, like Squeaks probably was pooping his pants when he walked into Arrowhead. You're like, I'm gonna like work on this. Like,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Well, and you hope you hope that we've given him enough skills.
No,
This is
100%.
anybody, right? Where
Yeah,
it's
no,
okay,
for
just
sure.
Takes a week to figure out.
No,
who's
yeah, no,
who,
and
right?
you get used to it, obviously,
Yeah.
and whatnot. But like having someone there to like support you instead of someone there to yell at you.
Well, and the unique thing about New York was, right, like if you look at the personalities and just the four that you named, right, me, Matt, Ryan, and Deacon, like four very different people. And
Oh,
then,
yeah.
and then Ray.
Go good old Ray.
Bless
We
him.
miss you, buddy. Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, Ray was an absolute machine. I very rarely do you come across somebody that has a motor like that.
Yeah,
But,
it never stopped.
But the 5 personalities there, right? Like and Bill really said it best. He's like, we have all of these guys that are trying ultimately to get to my job, and everybody's different, and everybody learns differently and acts differently and
learns
teaches
from each other,
differently, right? And so it was definitely a crew with a ton of I don't want to say talent. And we all have talent, right? You know what I mean? Like, we were all pretty good.
Potential.
Yeah.
At the time.
And Bill, right? Like Bill at the time, like, and I still, to me, Bill Deacon is one of probably the best turf managers in the business, right? Like, he's incredibly intelligent and a great teacher. Like, I love Bill.
Yeah.
And I loved working for him.
Yeah.
But we had a pretty good crew.
Just, there's like head groundskeepers all across the country now. No biggie.
He was definitely a stud.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, the big thing, like when it comes to like this, being able to help those around you while you're being the leader, I think what a lot of people don't understand, it lends a hand to the fact that, people who are in that position of you sort of mentoring want to do better for you because, Danny never wanted to disappoint you. That was just like, he had to do it just because of who he was and the relationship he had with you. And you could see, when I went down, you could see how you rubbed off on him, everything that he learned from you. And he always pointed it out. I was like, no, I know. He's talking to, sorry, guys.
It's super cool, right?
Yeah.
It's one of those things where
it's a cool moment.
Really proud. And
yeah.
When I went, I went down once last year to help him paint and hopefully be able to do it this year again if the schedules align. But
we'll go late, try and get the same time.
Tried, yeah. After football season here, we're just
December
slower, right?
You're good, right? December's good or no?
Should be.
Okay. Danny,
we'll
book
see.
it.
I will have a 3-year-old and a
6 month, 4 month,
4-month-old at the time, so I might not be able to get away. We'll see. Maybe an overnighter.
Danny, book it with a baby.
I'm bringing them all. Yeah. But it's fun to go down, and when I showed up, I was like, "You're in charge down here, buddy. I'm not making any decisions. Tell me what I'm painting, and I'm going." So it's an absolute blast, and it's fun to see.
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny. It was so cool to see, him interact with my kids and sort of, pass on everything that you passed on to him. He's like, I learned this from Joe Hill. Mr. Miller used to work for him. I was like, stop calling me Mr. Miller. But it was just like he was talking about, like, you guys have to understand, like, in this setting, like, we are constantly getting covered in stuff, whether it's paint, dirt, sand, whatever it is. Like, you need to be prepared, though, at any moment to go into a meeting with someone of the higher ups or you're going to have people around, so you always have to have clean clothes readily available to you. And kids are like, whoa, I never really thought about that.
Level, right?
Like, but like that's just little things that like you can take away, and my kids now think that way. Yeah,
it's one of those things, right? Like, how seriously do you want to be taken?
Exactly.
You show up covered in mud, and I mean, obviously your job is your job, and we all get covered in mud. But if you're going to go talk to a guy that's worth $17 billion.
Sorry.
Know your audience. Right?
Yeah, no, for sure. You better be in a tuxedo with that one.
Right. And that's one of those things when you show up looking like you belong there, right? You're going to get taken more seriously, at least in my experience. When you walk into the room and you're presentable and polished, taken a little bit more seriously.
I mean, it carries a lot of weight,
Absolutely.
I think in my situation at a high school, it might not, but I try to look somewhat decent until one of my students, sprays me in the face with a gun on accident. Like, Miller, it's not working.
Teachable moment.
I think it's working. Yeah, for my eyes, though.
Get a towel.
It's like point it down.
Spray into a towel.
Yeah.
Off the field, preferably.
For sure.
Or into an empty bucket, please.
You know what? I don't even care if you put it on the grass outside of the track. Like, no one's gonna care. This isn't like, good times.
Just steal it from Saban, right? The standard is the standard, but ultimately, at the end of the day, what we do is very important. But there's certainly other things that
for sure
we're not curing cancer. Do just be great at your job, and
maybe natural grass is. You never know.
You never know.
You never know. People are talking. Not on this podcast, but people are talking.
I don't know who they are, but let them talk, man. Let's go.
Yeah, no, for sure. Now I want to get into the project you have going on right now, which, again, I think is just the coolest thing that you guys are growing in your own sod, and everything that's, ran through the department is also running through sort of the turf program. But what happened, like, sort of in getting everything set up? Like, how did you, officially say, hey, we got to move to a natural playing surface for our soccer team over our artificial? That in that picture looks a little old.
Yeah, so the artificial,
that
that was one of the first, because you can see the practice facilities all burned out, and that's kind of before, and this predates me and Josh. That was
Old
Mike
Timmy.
Andreessen was a part of the, I believe, and I could be mixing this up. I'm sorry to both of them if I screw this up, but I believe Mike Andreessen was a part of the pre-construction meetings, the builds, the designs, field designs, etc.
Yeah.
And I believe Tim was his turf manager at the time. So they built Cyclone Sports Complex. We call it CSC.
Yeah.
They built it. And so the synthetic got ripped out about a month and a half ago, and it was 12 years old.
Do you need people to come pick it up, or are you guys throwing it out?
We actually, sorry,
I just saw all the rolls when we walked past.
We gave away half of it.
Very nice.
The University Golf Course is taking all of that, and they're going to renovate their bunkers and use it as a bunker lining.
Oh,
and
that's
so
awesome.
It's going to be recycled and
Environmentally sound. That's incredible.
Yeah,
it's impossible.
yeah. So the superintendent, who we have a really good relationship because we borrow each other's equipment once in a while. He has stuff that we don't, and vice versa. So he's going to come over and take it. But it was a combination of a couple of things, right? We obviously have a very good turf program here, and the reputation of that program and this department is very good.
Yeah.
The synthetic turf had reached basically the end of its road. So it was worn out and done. We got a new soccer coach a couple of years ago. He wants natural grass.
Purist.
So
love it.
It was a combination of everything kind of coming together, and the perfect recipe to do this, and then fresh off of the Jack Trice, Johnny Majors football projects, which are basically the exact same thing.
I still love that.
Yeah,
Jack and Johnny.
So
I keep interrupting.
And it's how we roll, right?
Yeah.
Jack and Johnny. So we decided to basically mimic that project. So last year, after they harvested the sod to do these projects out here, they replanted, knowing that the soccer project was going to come up. So we rent the farm that it's on. Our extension specialist and a grad student manage it and maintain it, and we'll harvest it here in a couple of weeks and bring it over here. We're at the pea gravel layer now. Sand comes in tomorrow, and then we'll pack that down, water it for a week, and
get it settled where it needs
make
to be.
it perfect. So 6th and the 7th of July we'll lay sod, and then we're going to stitch it on July 17th. So it's basically the football project mimicked into soccer,
which is awesome. And 365 SS.
365 SS. Yeah.
What is the weather like? Around July.
It can be a little
Curious.
crispy.
Okay.
So
I didn't, and again, I don't know what the temps are normally at, so I'm just curious.
So we'll be 90s, mid 90s. It's going to be crispy. So there's a good chance we'll be dragging some hose, a lot of wetting agents, getting that thing going. But
For sure.
We have a soccer match on August 16th or 17th. So we have basically a month and some change to get it going. For
sure.
Which should be fine. I'm not worried about it. But the challenge with a new field like that is keeping people off of it, right? And our soccer coach is a great dude.
So here's the deal, buddy.
We're basically we got
First month.
We got you a brand new Ferrari, and you can't drive it yet. Right?
First month.
You get to look at it.
Give me a month.
So
like this is going to be the greatest Ferrari ever.
Yeah.
I'm just finishing the detailing from the dealership.
I promise you.
I'm
Just give
doing
us
your
some time.
personalizations.
Yeah.
Please stop. Please stop trying to get on it.
So the details are going in. Before we started the project, I met with them and kind of walked them through the stages of it and where we were going to be, and also after the fact, we're going to shift you around. We're going to keep you on the practice facility because ultimately we want this thing to be absolutely flawless for games. And so
all the way through.
He's all in. He's actually got a turf student on his team.
That's so
Mira
cool.
Emma, so it'll be cool to have her on both sides. And
she work for you at all?
She is going to come back for the semester and then she graduates. So I will have her at least for a semester, but everybody loves her and I've heard
awesome.
good things. I've met with her. We've,
She working somewhere now?
She is, but I don't remember off the top of my head.
Gotcha.
So
Well, that's awesome though.
yeah, she's going to do great.
So that's what I forget who we were talking to today, but in mine and Leah's presentation at SFMA is how many athletes actually are not going to make it to the next level, starting at the high school level. You and I, baseball players, like staying in it, right?
Yeah.
Why don't we show these kids, hey, stay in the sport?
Yeah.
On the ground level, you're not up in a stuffy, cubicle or something,
yeah.
right? So that's something that's really cool to see when kids go to college and they're professional athletes almost in the sense, because it's getting there.
I love it. I think it's a really neat opportunity. And then also, and hopefully, and I would imagine she's doing this, but she can use it as an opportunity to teach the coaching staff and teach the team. Of
exactly.
Hey, this is why they're doing this. And
that's what's cool about at Brentsville is like we have educated the coaching staff. Like they understand like the need, to move and obviously like how significant like our work is, and they're appreciative, which is great. But yeah, it's really cool that
and all of our coaches, in every sport that have grass fields that at least we deal with, obviously not basketball and volleyball, but our head football coach is. I met with him a couple of weeks ago just to check in and see how camps were going, and he's thrilled with the surface and very happy. He's like, I don't know what you guys do, but it's freaking awesome. I was like, that's all you gotta say to
don't
me.
worry about it, man. I got you.
A little fist bump. That's a quick meeting, man. It's like, all right,
Thanks, man.
you know where to find me if you need
Just keep doing it. Keep saying it. I'm gonna appreciate it.
That's all you need to tell me. And then our softball coach, right? Like spring sport here, spring in Iowa is a little challenging, and Pink has an awareness for what's going on too, and he wants to get on the infield, but he recognizes that putting the blankets in the outfield, helps us, and so
for sure.
put those on. And he also wants green grass.
That's
and
always
our
a plus.
Coach wants a great field, and our cross country coach wants a great course.
Sounds like you have a phenomenal setup because coaches usually don't give a damn.
It's really good. Like I would say that they have a high level of awareness for what's going on. And they're supportive of it. Now, they're still coaches, right? Ultimately, at the end of the day, we have to do our job, and they're going to get on their field when they need to get on it. But
Absolutely.
On the same token, right? Like we try and have awareness for what they're trying to do, right? We know that softball's going to want to get out there as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Same with soccer. Same with like it's
As
the
quickly
nature of
as
the beast.
possible is like December 25th.
After lunch, presents, dinner, practice. All right, so.
Honey, stop. We're going to stay here for Christmas, okay?
Let's bring everybody here.
Yeah. You can bring all of your players. I don't care.
We've been the road team for a long time. We're going to stay here.
Yeah, no, for sure.
No, there's a lot of really special things here.
That's
and
awesome.
It's cool to be a part of.
That's awesome.
I'm glad they're letting me be a part of it. It's neat.
Yeah. They're the lucky ones. Don't
I
ever forget it.
appreciate that.
Don't ever forget it.
Do our best.
Now, you talked about it a little bit, and this is very new. Obviously, there have been a few people that have been doing it for a while and for enough time, but like it's very new, the hybrid system that you've installed. What, as again, sort of just coming into it and as a fresh mind in the space of it, there are so many things that you can do and you can't do compared to what we normally, focus on with the cultural practices. Obviously, you can't core aerate, you can't do things that like. It hurts certain sports field managers to not be able to do that, right? What was sort of like the decision, to continue down this path with the new field? Obviously, getting experience with these fields here behind us.
So, obviously, having the football team thrilled with the product is a huge push. Because we have to manage football differently. We have two different management plans, right? It doesn't affect our fertility. It doesn't really affect our fungicide program. So those are all the same. Yeah, it's very helpful, right? But football right now, we can't pull cores. We now verticut it. Like we're probably going to try and verticut it 4 or 5 times a year, depending on what we see.
Wow, which is
we've
usually
learned,
crazy for bluegrass, right?
I think verticutting is finally kind of catching on to the bluegrass scene where it was never really a thing.
Yeah.
It's always been a warm season practice, but I think more guys are trying it now. So we're going to verticut more frequently to try and keep the organic layer down because we can't pull cores.
Exactly.
Having a hybrid system also means that we're going to phrase mow. Right now, we're going to plan on doing it annually. If we see different results and don't feel like we need to, then we won't. But right now, we're planning on running a phrase mower over it next April, May, depending. We have a couple of factors playing in that.
I was going to say, with college athletics, you really don't have a time frame for it.
The biggest thing is weather here.
Yeah.
When we can, get bluegrass to start waking up, but we also there's a very small chance we have a full field concert, football stadium, so that's going to dictate when we do it. That doesn't scare me. I've done enough concerts to know what they look and sound like. Just a couple. With hybrid though, you got to be very careful because we can't resod. So it's going to take some effort to get everybody on board with that if we end up doing the concert, but. Now that we kind of are comfortable with it, we made the decision to stitch soccer. So now we can basically scoop that into to the phrase mow program and get them on the same page. The auxiliary field where our soccer team practices, where the softball team kind of uses that space when they need it. And the softball field are now our two oldest fields. They're 12, 13 years old. So is that a conversation that happens maybe next year? Potentially, because we have a sod farm now, and so there's some moving parts.
Little flex there,
but
what do you have? Everyone else,
and it's a big umbrella.
Oh
right?
yeah,
it's all you forget about a sod farm that's 20 miles away, but it's easy to not think about it. But we saw some great success, and this obviously predates me, but I live right across the street and. I'm what I would call a friend of the program around here, so I've always kind of kept my foot half in the door of what's going on. And obviously, I've known Mike and Josh and Tim and all those guys for a long time. So try to stay as close, just to scratch my turf itch, right? Like, can I maybe come over?
Can I come mow, please?
Please.
I'm literally right here. Let me do it. You don't have to come in today. It's okay. It's okay. I'm taking a day off.
I'll check it for you, man. Where's your TDR at? I'll do it for you. But
that's awesome.
We've seen some success with it, so we're gonna ride it. And I think I would be shocked if it doesn't catch on because it's really what we're seeing as a result after we just did a month of camps. There's obviously the spots that wear out a little bit. That's going to happen, but
like we saw, I mean, it's a great system to have when you have wear spots. And
the stability and the results that we're seeing after a full practice is insane. I mean, the surface is holding up so well, and so it's really encouraging and it's fun to work with. I mean, it's definitely different, but I love it.
Yeah.
So. I'm a big fan of it.
Yeah, for sure.
I want to stitch everything, but they don't give it away, right? It's a little pricey.
God, I wish I had this kind of money to just do whatever I want.
I don't think I'm there yet. They put a limit on my card.
We'll get there.
There's a limit on my card.
Only two field stitched. Only 2 field stitched. It's a big limit. Obviously, something like I want to get into the stitching more. One of the big things, and we talked about it when we were doing a little tour. Was FIFA is gonna change the way we all manage our fields because they're requiring some sort of hybrid pitch in all of the 16 stadiums and even the 110 practice facilities. That's a huge leap from where we're at now. And most of them are synthetic surfaces that a lot of these are going in. So it's something that I think that you being on the ground level, you're probably going to get a phone call here soon. You never know.
Hopefully, I mean, if it continues to push the narrative towards a natural surface,
exactly.
I'm 100% on board.
Yeah.
Because I think just in the decades that I've been doing this, I very rarely come across an athlete that prefers synthetic. I mean, it just bangs up your body, and even being on it, we're into the 90s now. With our temperatures, with humidity, and I did a little bit of work on our half field outside. For those that don't know, we have our practice facility is 3 50-yard fields, and so one of those 50s is synthetic. Just doing some work on that, and my goodness, I can't be on it very long before my back starts hurting, my legs start to hurt.
It's crazy, right?
Degrees. and I'm not bashing it, right?
Yeah.
I probably get hate mail for this, but like I do recognize that there is some place in the industry for synthetic, right?
You know where it is? Middle schools.
Middle school.
That's the only place.
We have an indoor practice facility.
Okay, that counts.
Every team
that
uses.
Counts.
So,
but that's cheating. That's a building. It doesn't count.
But I am 100% for natural surfaces because I think they're a million times better. But
yeah, we're also turf nerds, so there's that.
I'm a turf nerd. And but it does help. I'll say that when the offense and defensive line are doing their work against each other, if you guys could stay on the synthetic,
let's
that'd be all right.
just say we got a synthetic practice field. They didn't put it on our game field, so it semi-saved the program, which is awesome. I'm not mad there's a practice field.
And look, right, you can the natural and synthetic argument is, right, like red tie, blue ties politics, right? There's going to be people on one
more
side,
like
there's going to be people on the
plastic
other.
lobbyists.
And right, like, you can fight it until you're blue in the face, but to me, it's like I'm 100% for bluegrass, or for natural grass, but
we can't get rid of it. Synthetic, and obviously the thing that I find just funny about all of it, is like it's scientifically proven that natural grass is better for the body
100%.
than synthetic. And if you're, again, this is the part that I think is so funny. If you're an NFL team, like, you are telling us that it is more expensive for the natural grass playing surfaces over a span of the 2 years that they have synthetic, because that's how much they remove, like how quickly they replace their fields, their synthetic fields. You're going to spend more money on the synthetic or on the natural than the synthetic. I'm like, have you looked at a spreadsheet that you worked on? Unless you're resodding 4 times a year, maybe not even close.
And even then, but I mean, you gotta, with that argument, right? That's an events-driven decision,
and
not
that's
a
great.
Football decision.
Yeah.
I mean, and look, they just call it what it is, right? Like, you want to have a concert on a Friday and a Chiefs game on Sunday, and
they're doing it.
Just say it.
Taylor
it's
freaking
okay
Swift.
to say it.
Taylor freaking Swift. Travis was talking about it up there. He was like, I've got 7 concerts, the 2 weeks before the first preseason game. I was like, and they're big. They're not they're not small.
They're not doing a.
They're not a rink. Yeah, exactly,
show.
exactly.
90,000 people.
It's the Taylor Swift 2 nights and then
I've always said,
Waylon or something. I'm like, geez.
And we had a concert meeting in here. It seemed like it was a month after I started, and this the production company, whatever they call themselves, come in and they pitch the show, and I've always made the argument. It's like if it makes sense for the business to do it, and we can do it with input from everybody that's going to be a part of it, and we can do it correctly, I'm all for it. But who's the act, right? Because if we're going to do this, fill the place up, and make it worth it, right?
Don't do he was.
I don't want it an impersonator.
I don't know. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I don't want to be mean to anyone because I don't know what a bad concert is really.
Well, you don't know.
What's a bad one?
You know how many?
No. Come on.
I don't know.
Come on.
I'm not throwing anybody
Come
under the bus, man.
Who? They don't listen to this podcast. Go ahead.
No, we're gonna get you're gonna get a big reach here. No,
I like the confidence. Thank you for the big reach.
Yeah, we're gonna push 1 million views. Yeah. We'll get somebody to retweet it. That's important. It's not us.
Leah,
Danny,
can you retweet this, please?
Get a big.
Yeah, you're the one that's got a fan base, not us.
No, I would say if you're going to do a show, make it worth it. Get your bang for your buck.
Yeah,
if we can make millions of dollars on this, it would be irresponsible for me to say no because I don't.
And here's the thing: you can
like
always help us on the back end.
Well, and the thing is, right? So you look at that, and most turf departments are not considered revenue departments, right? They're expense departments,
which is hard.
If you can do a $10 million concert or whatever the number is going to be, that magic number, right? To me, and
magic number,
where my brain goes, it's like, okay, if we can do a concert and make $5 million, it turns our department into a revenue department, and that's we're helping the whole cog, right? And
yeah.
But again, it's got to be worth it. And if we're going to do this and we're going to put this much stress on the
dare
people
do
in
it
the
where you
field,
get $100,000.
Yeah, and so make it worth it, and I'm all for it because
I mean, it's part of our business now.
Well,
You know,
and
there's
again,
not anything you can say.
it goes back to, being lucky enough to sit in the chair where you got to make the decisions that might affect the golf course, but it helps the pool, right? So like, it might affect the grounds for a little bit, but I've always felt like if you fight it, you're not going to get an invitation into the meeting to hear the production team.
For sure.
If you at least go into it open-minded and understand what the business model looks like, you're going to be so much farther down the road. And I would rather have a concert that I have input in versus, hey, by the way, we're having a concert. Figure it out.
No,
Like,
for
that's
sure. It's hard, you know,
So
which is 90% of our industry, unfortunately, you know.
if you're gonna take a beating, it's nice to at least see it coming.
No, for sure. And
Baseball season is upon us. Toro's Field Pro 6040 was created with ball fields in mind. The Field Pro's multi-tool system allows 4 tools to be carried at once, significantly reducing the time required preparing infields. Scarifying, grading, and dragging can now be completed in a single pass, saving you time and effort. Visit Toro's website today to learn more about the Field Pro's 6040.
And to be able to plan for it, right?
Yeah, no, I think there's been a big shift. You know, obviously when I was in New York, there was already, concerts going on like heavily, but it wasn't to the like extent it is now, you know. It was like concert season was 3 concerts the whole year. Now it's like 7 to 10, and it's like, that's insane, Like, you're talking about a venue that, you expect to play games multiple days after you like take the flooring up, right? But I think that and synthetic plays into it, like, I think our industry has noticed that, hey, if we want to, be advocates for ourselves, be advocates for natural grass, we have to make sure that the natural grass can take more.
Yeah.
Whether that's through genetics, like your 365 SS, coming in and being that dominant of a Kentucky bluegrass compared to others, like it's something that I think a lot of the professionals and I'm friends with a lot of them, like seeing what they go through, and they understand that if they don't, then there's a chance that they're going to lose their field in a way. They are going to push through no matter what, which is awesome. And I think that's a big part of sort of teaching the next generation, like, hey, this is a business. NFL Stadium, there's 18 games, but you can have an event every single day making a lot of money.
Yeah.
Whether that's using the field for a game that's not the NFL team or the college team, or if it's a concert or if it's something else, like, the thing that I have an issue with, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, is you obviously have had like a seat at the table in the sense of like starting off, and it's great, it's phenomenal. But when is it going to, come back to the grounds crew is my thing. Like, not in the sense of like we're asking for a lot, know. The cost of the field should never be questioned. Like, that's something that you don't ask us. Like, you're the ones that wanted to do this. We need this money in order to ensure that we're back to where it was, right?
Yeah.
Where do we get, you just got your phrase mower. Like, that was a necessity that you had to have. Like, where do we get, like, oh, that concert can go towards our next piece of equipment? Or, that can go towards, like, the pay of the grounds crew, you know? I mean, I've talked about it forever. Like, the players, even the college players now, the money they're making on NIL, like, even a little fraction of that could make a life-changing difference for someone like you. You know, like, where do we get that across? You know what I mean?
I think it's
because you obviously have great relationships with everyone, in the department. So
and I think it's a combination of a lot of things, right? I mean, I have a couple decades of experience,
for sure.
So like that definitely holds some weight. But it all goes back to what we talked about, right? Showing up to a meeting polished and being well spoken and
proper grammar,
having trust in not only your leadership but vice versa. And it takes time to earn that. And so I think ultimately what that means is, right, have an understanding. Like, the initial reaction of all turf managers, right? Like, let's stay on the concert topic, right? Like, the initial reaction is to pull back and say no, we can't do that because of the field. Instead, right, if you can hear that and understand, okay, I work for this business, my job is to do X, but there is a huge staff of people here that have to do their jobs as well. And I think if you can, and it's not always easy, but you got to put yourself on the other side of the desk, of the person making that decision and looking at the balance sheet and understanding that this department costs a lot of money and football costs a lot of money and basketball, it's expensive to do this stuff. And so I think it's really important for the turf manager, if you want to get a seat at the table, you have to really understand how to have a conversation, constructive conversation, right? And try and understand the big picture. And if you can understand the big picture and go into it with this mindset, like, how can I help this team and this business be successful? If that means having a concert on the field, please allow me to be a part of that conversation from the beginning, because if you listen to me, if you listen to the electricians, you listen to the events guys, if you listen to all these people, and everybody can get on the same page and pull in the same direction, it's going to be way easier, and the end result is going to be a phenomenal show, which is ultimately what we're here for, whether sport or concert. But then when you get everybody out of your building, right, if you've done your job correctly...
Ooh, a little spider.
If you do your job correctly, right?
From the ceiling.
Yeah. Man, he's running.
Big old boy.
If you do your job correctly, right,
head,
you take
right?
all that stuff off, you should be in a pretty good position where you can bounce back and recover. And so my approach has always been, let me be a part of the conversation, and I'll do the best that I can to make sure that whatever we're doing can be as great as it can be. But then, on the flip side, right, and I learned this from Bill.
Yeah.
With an event, there's an opportunity to get guys overtime so they can make more money. So it's good for their bottom line. There's also an opportunity to say, hey, if we're going to do a concert on the field, right, I'll use this as an example. Our goalposts they don't move. They're in. So if we're going to have a concert, we're going to have to cut one of them down. Well, let's cut both of them down, and then we can put hydraulic system. Yeah. So now we have an opportunity when football season's over, take them down, makes mowing easier, makes spraying easier, makes everything easier on us. But it also gives us an opportunity to make that next event that much easier if we have one. And so...
Hopefully not, but it's if you want to, that's fine. Well, this guy's coming after you, man.
And the thing is, he's excited about turf.
Yeah, he is. One of our 1 million views. Live.
This is content right here.
This is
You got away.
He's now on the ground.
Sorry about that. But ultimately, if you get to that point where you can have that conversation, then you get to the next step. And say, hey, we want to do this event. Are you comfortable with it? And if you gain that trust and you say, I'm not comfortable with this one. If you've gotten that far, it might be one of those conversations. If you're one of the lucky ones, they say, if you're uncomfortable with it, we'll pass. Because ultimately we want our surface, in this case, we want jacked rice. It's our showcase field. We need it to be flawless 6 days a year. Because football, like most places, pays the bills.
Funds the whole thing,
So it's important for us to make the right decision.
Thought there was a spider on my face.
Now we're both going to be paranoid.
We're getting bombarded. We're going down.
We have a nice shop, I swear.
It's beautiful. The shop is beautiful. No, I love it. It's incredible.
Not a reflection of the shop cleanliness, hopefully.
There are bugs everywhere.
I don't know who runs the custodial department around here, but we need to have a conversation. We need a bug guy, apparently.
For our building, it was built in 1954.
Nice.
Got snakes everywhere.
Snakes?
Yeah. Nightmare. I'm not a snakes guy.
I don't like snakes.
They're like, why would you like that?
I like that we don't have them.
Yeah, it's not in Virginia. We got all of them. It's fun
I've never been to Virginia.
Really?
I've been to Washington, D.C.
It's not Virginia.
Next door neighbor.
Yeah, my itty bitty neighbor.
I've probably driven through it.
You probably have. Where'd you go?
Kate's brother works in Washington, D.C.
Okay.
So visiting him, and then I believe, actually maybe I've been to Virginia. He lived in Falls Church, I think.
That's Virginia.
Yeah, so
that's a town over from me.
Yeah, he used to. He doesn't live there now, and he's a big timer now, so he's got a big house.
Ooh. Falls Church is a very big house anyways already. You said he's a big.
Pretty much.
You're saying he's a multimillionaire, right?
He does okay for himself.
Yeah, that can afford like a $4 million home. Because if you go
one of
any
those jobs
further
you can't talk about, you know.
that's
pretty
not. Yeah, I don't need to know anything. I'd rather not be stabbed in the middle of the night. You know. Oh gosh. Something else that again that we really like touched base on at this event, like with Toro, is like innovation. You know, there are so many things that are going on. You're doing the hybrid system, and you know, you're one of the. I mean, honestly, I don't know how many fields there are. I think.
Only
We're talking to Ryan. I think it's like 4
at any level. I don't know what level, you know, professional and college. You know, the Packers, Allen's
Ryan,
kind of the original here.
I think he said there's 2 in the MLS.
I know Ryan Bajorn has one on their practice facility for the
Gorgeous,
Revolution.
by the way.
Ryan's a machine too.
I love Ryan.
Ryan and I go way back to Boston.
Yeah.
13, 14 years ago. He's
Ryan's
one of my favorite
awesome.
people.
He's just a great person.
Good dude.
Shout out Ryan. Love you, buddy.
Yeah, me, Ryan, Weston Applefeller, we were in
Did you hear about Weston?
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, Weston called me about a month ago to tell me that
I was just shocked.
Yeah, he was making that move. And Weston and I, we've been tight for a long time. He's one of my favorite people in this industry.
Yeah. Great guy.
He called to tell me that. I was surprised, but not. It was kind of one of those, like, yeah, I can see that.
Like, why not? You know?
Wes and I are very similar. My life has changed significantly in the last 3 or 4 years, having a family now. And
yeah. Congratulations,
so
by the way,
you.
on the air. Congratulations.
Honestly, man, I love being a dad. It's the funnest thing in the world.
Yeah.
My daughter's super cool. She's very silly, and you know, we have a son that's due on the first football game.
You got a name?
Season.
You want to break it down right now?
We don't have a name.
Is it going to be one of those? He comes out, hey Jack.
Yeah, it's we have a list of about 25.
Oh.
And,
do you have a favorite?
I have a few, but I just don't know yet.
Give me one.
Our daughter, Jack is one of my favorites.
Yes.
Our daughter, her name is Bowie.
Very nice.
And we had 3 names picked out for Bowie, and she didn't have a name until her 3rd day, and we were leaving the hospital, and you have to give the child a name. So we
have to do the birth certificate.
Well, so
you're not allowed to take this child.
You can't. You can't. So this goes back to Weston. His daughter's name is Bowie.
Oh, really? Nice.
And we stole it from him, and I called him right after she was born.
Hey, buddy.
I was like, I'm stealing Bowie from you as the name. And so my Bowie is named kind of after his Bowie. And so Weston and I go back a long ways. But yeah, he called and told me what was going on, and I was really excited for him. And we're the same age. You know, his kids are older than mine, but in terms of life and family stuff, like I 100%.
Oh yeah.
Agree, and
any
I think
professional
it's a sweet
site
move for him.
Any professional site's hard, you know.
And he's a titan in this industry too, right?
He's a steal for Pioneer.
Yeah, to me, he's an absolute stud, and he's a great man, and I love him dearly. So
yeah,
I was honored to be on that list.
There's a lot of good New England guys, you know.
We had a fun group up there, man. It was a good.
Who else was up there? Was Pappas up there?
This is Turf guys. I think it was just me, Ryan, Weston, Jason Griffith, who is.
Oh, this was at Boston. I just meant like the New England area.
Oh, New England turf. Yeah, it's pretty solid.
Pretty stacked.
It's good
when you look at like the areas.
Yeah, there's a lot of studs that came out of there.
Yeah, for sure.
And most of them, you know, like that all kind of tie together with the Red Sox, right? Like I've given Dave a hard time about this, but it's like, you know, everybody's worked for the Red Sox as an intern or a seasonal guy, and I really liked working at Fenway. It's such a unique setting and a cool ballpark.
Yeah, it's awesome to be around that.
I worked there for a year, and every game was sold out. So, and Dave's very good at what he does.
Yeah,
learned a lot from him
for sure. I was at Wrigley the other day. I got that same feeling, you know, walking out on the field.
Pretty cool spot.
Just like you can't beat it.
I've never
Fenway
met Dan. I knew Justin. Yeah, I know
He's
Justin
so cool.
Spillman, who
Yeah.
preceded him pretty well, but I've never met Dan before.
He's an awesome guy.
That's what I hear.
You know.
Everybody speaks really highly of him.
He-
He does a great job.
Yeah, he does.
That's a hard
phenomenal
job.
It
That's a
is.
really hard job.
Yeah, because it's again very heavy loaded
Lot
with
of concerts,
concerts and
there's football.
everything. They get soccer too.
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, they cram everything that they can in there. They're definitely kind of leaning into the
Wrigley,
Wrigley. Yeah, well, yeah, look.
the Wrigley ambiance.
Yeah, I've been up there a few times.
It's just so cool.
Ironically, both times I've been there, they were rebuilding their field, so I've never seen it with turf. It was a sandbox, but
It was really cool. So when we were there, it's leading up to the All-Star break, right? So you remember the NY that was in the outfield? So they did the cub with the C and the actual animal, and then it said like vote cubbies or something.
Oh, nice.
And it was just awesome.
That's cool.
And he had his assistant do it. It was pretty cool. He's like, I kind of just let people do what they're going to do. You know, I've got kids who have, or guys, I shouldn't say kids, sorry. I'm a kid compared to
We're all
them.
kids. We're all kids at heart. Right?
He said, he's like,
Playing in the sandbox.
I got some guys that just, their skill set lends it to it, and why would I stop from doing it,
And that's a great leadership lesson of, hire great people and let them do what they do. If you hire great people and try and micromanage them, then don't hire good people.
Yeah. So we were talking about your staff.
Yep.
And there's a position, right?
Yep.
Let's use this sort of as a pitch, to get people to, apply. What would be sort of a benefit of coming here to Iowa State and, working with you, obviously, and from someone who is not him. He's one of the best guys. You got to understand that the way that you run things and the way that you communicate, the way that you're just open and honest with everyone is just incredible.
Appreciate
you
that.
were,
Thank you.
and again,
I try.
No, for sure, for sure. You were one of the guys in New York that I always went to if I needed something, and you always were helpful with anything I needed. I was scared shitless up there.
Yeah.
Half the time I was like, I'm gonna screw something up terribly, and obviously you can tell from what we've already talked about, you're respected by everybody. So it's definitely a job where you're going to grow and learn. And obviously you have mentees that are now kicking ass in the industry. Yeah. So just putting that out there. Now I'll let him tell you about it.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, of course.
It's one of those things. I've had some great mentors along the way, and you kind of want to keep that going. This is such a fun industry that it's hard to not get people excited about it, right? Because I think we all are so ingrained in it. It's just a wonderful industry with so many great people, and I think everybody needs to be aware of it. But this is a really great place to work. We are stretched out a lot.
Well, you don't have someone here,
Yeah, and we're not a traditional. Like a Power 5 school typically has someone in my position and a head groundskeeper at every facility, and we don't have that. It's myself and Michael Young, who can't say enough.
Shout out Michael, who probably just pulled in.
Yeah, lights just popped on, so he's somewhere near. But Mike is he's to me he's the next wave of the Dannys and the Leahs. Right? Like he's so very good, and he's young in this industry, and so over time he's gonna take off
for sure.
One of those guys, I just stay out of his way. But we're not set up traditionally, and so when we have football and softball and soccer and cross country, I joke that I'm a bouncy ball. I go from one place to the next and go here, figure out what's going on, make a decision, go to the next one. So I'm not in one place very long, as much as I'd like to be, but that's the nature of the position. And so, and then having custodial operations on mine as well, I get pulled into all of our athletic buildings, which is 13 or 14 of. Yeah. So, including an airport, ironically, where we keep our airplane. Yeah.
You didn't tell me that.
I don't get to ride on the thing. I'm not that important.
You should say,
I've seen
I'm not doing this job unless I get free rides whenever I want, or just once, just for fun.
Just ride around the block.
Just quick up and down.
Yeah. So the uniqueness of working here is that you get to do a little bit of everything and Tim Van Loo has joked about it in the past. Right when you get sick of doing football, football season's over and you go do off-season stuff, and then you go into softball and soccer and cross country, and by the time you're tired of them, it's now summer, and now you get to catch up. And so it's really a great place to work. But I mean, we also have phenomenal leadership here that are way ahead of the curve on everything.
Yeah.
But they have an awareness and appreciation for what we do. So when we come to the table with something, you truly get them to listen, to understand. They ask questions, they want to know, but they're 100% supportive of everything that we do. And so that's been one of the unique qualities of this job, is to have a boss that actually, we said, hey, at the Stitch Field, we need to buy a verticutter. Okay, just give me a quote. And I'm coming from a place where it's like, you don't need anything else, or no, just give me a quote. We'll get it figured. We'll get it ordered. Should I ask for more?
You should probably be like, what else do I want?
Without being greedy. And I was
Just
joking.
like a new, aerator too. Yeah, sure, no problem.
We had a field day, a workshop up in Fort Dodge, Iowa yesterday for the iOS FMA, and we went up and Tim Van Loo was doing a little thing there. I joked with him. I was like, I'm still getting comfortable, in the position where it's like, hey, let's do this, this, and this. And I don't want to sound greedy, and I don't want to overstep. Yeah. And
he was like, don't worry about it.
Well, he's like, just stay in that lane. You'll be all right.
He said, just ask for anything, and I'll give it to you.
and Tim's been a good friend for a long time. And he's one of my favorite people, but he's been a great resource here because he's.
How has that been? Here. Well, not even that. Like, just you said he's the one that grew in the, what is it called? What do you call it?
CSC.
CSC. Yep. Thank you. And like, just sort of, getting a lay of the land and understanding sort of everything that goes into it, like, so that you can then, make it your own. Yeah. Well, how has that been? He's in the area, right?
Yeah, he's still, we see him a few times a month. I mean, he still pops in the shop to come hang out. And Josh DeVerdick, who was the turf manager before me, he went to Campus Rec. So he's actually just across the street. It's the most unique place that I've worked because all 4 head turf managers are still like tight with the program, and they still stop by. And
that's so cool.
I think it's awesome. I absolutely love it. And there's an open line to everybody. It's like, hey, something's going on with this pump, and like I can text all of everybody on the same thread. Like, do you guys remember what you did here? And it's instantly like, yep, do this.
Did this.
Yeah, call this person. Yeah, it's wired here. The key's
That's
there.
amazing.
And so it's really nice to have instant resources like that. But like I said at the beginning, like they're all, to me, like they're all top tier guys.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't deserve to be in the conversation with those guys. Yeah. And it's cool to be a part of that conversation.
You do deserve to be in that. Stop it. I know you can't say it, and I'll never say anything about myself, but I'm saying it about you. You do. Okay.
Well, thank you. But
yeah, of course.
I'm never going to believe it.
I don't believe I'm doing any good. So there's that.
All right.
Gotcha.
Fair enough.
Something that I think, just from, the drive around and what you've said and hearing about Iowa State, I think that there's just something that, again, you were talking about having a boss that listens, like the culture here is so unique, like what has it been like to sort of, not only become a part of that culture, but develop that culture along, again, where everyone's still here, you know, and it's just a place where everybody wants to be. What has it been like, sort of, I don't even know what I'm saying. The culture is incredible. So how do you sort of see it going in the future?
To be totally honest, I think it's one of those things where nothing needs to be changed.
Yeah.
Right. Like let's keep doing it. It works. Right. Mm-hmm. I no reason to tear something apart if it's working.
Yeah. I didn't mean to tear it apart, but
no,
I meant like, sort of like have your own little.
Put my fingerprint on it.
That's the word. Thank you.
Yeah. So
I'm sorry. I'm tired. I can't think straight.
Where I would say that my resume is heavy.
Yeah.
Is like if you look at my career, like I've always kind of gone to the place that was event heavy and kind of changed we went from nothing to a lot.
Yeah.
And I don't think that we're going to do that here.
Mm-hmm.
That said, I'm comfortable in those spaces where if we do have a concert, like I see that as a great opportunity for two different things, right? The students, because they're gonna run into that at some point in their career.
Yeah.
No matter where they go, unless they decide to pick an avenue that's off of a major stadium. But it's also an opportunity for our local SFMA chapter, right? Like that's what a cool opportunity to bring in turf managers at other places.
For sure.
Hey, this is real life around here, and we want you to see it. Like I think we're going to try and put together a workshop next year when we phrase mow Jack and Johnny.
Yeah,
like it's going to to be cool to see
awesome.
that. And so
not 2.5 inches down. Sorry, I feel like a dumbass still.
I might be the former. if we went 2.5 inches down, I'd be the former head turf manager here. That might be a problem, but we're just going to tickle it,
maybe.
just a tickle. But I think my fingerprint will be on teaching those kids how to probably bite off more than you can chew.
Yeah.
Because it seems like the last 10 years of my career has kind of been that. Reno was a hard job, but I loved it. And the country club was a really hard job, but it was so beneficial to me. And so all of these things kind of tie together. So I think I can be good with that. But also, I'm a unique turf manager in the sense that I've sat in a GM chair.
Yeah, so that's awesome.
I can teach our young students like how to go into a meeting with your future boss, whoever he or she is going to be, and how you need to be prepared for that meeting, respect that they have 20 of these meetings, and get in, get out, get the information that they need, and know how to ask for it. But I think that's probably where I'll try. But I mean, I'm still still figuring out our students.
But that's what's so cool about it is like, I remember talking with Leah, like there's so much that you learned on that side of like, what a business is. And you already had a lot of that experience, obviously running Reno and everything, but like, that's like a whole nother level.
Yeah. It's
like that. It's insane. Like having one department's hard enough, having 6 or whatever you're talking about,
6
like
or 7.
That's crazy.
Yeah. 6, 6 departments plus, running the business and,
dealing with members who are always usually not a problem, but they want everything they want, and you have to deal with that.
My approach, and I think we were successful there because I'm not a golf guy, and I'm certainly not. I wasn't a GM at the time, and my approach was I dumbed it down for myself, and so to me, membership was season ticket holders, right? And food and beverage, right? Food and beverages, concessions, right?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
the golf course, the course is the course, right? Like that's the easy
What
part.
did you just call me?
Yeah. And then
season ticket holders, you got a problem with that?
we're changing the membership. So I took my approach with that was I just in my head at least I just converted it all to sports. Like every day's an event, so how can we always be ready in the kitchen? How's the pool ready? How's the golf course look? Is the pro shop good? How's our staff, right? But most importantly with that, like my role was, are we making enough money? Where do we need to make more? Where are we losing money? So I got pulled more into the business side, but I mean, that's kind of where I learned to be a bouncy ball because it's 6 departments and they're all living and breathing, but
and need you all at the same time.
Right. And the weirdest part probably in that position is a GM at a country club does most of the work when nobody's looking. A lot of that job is just being visible. Just there.
I'm here
Just
for
there,
you.
right?
It's okay.
Thursday night's men's league. I'm going to be there until 9 or 10 o'clock at night, just around. Have a couple drinks with all the guys. Like you build a rapport with the membership. So half of that job was literally being visible, and
I thought you were about to say get drunk, but
slippery slope there, right?
Just, there might be a member who's like, hey, here's another one. You're like,
It happened all the time, right? Sit down and have a beer. It's like, if I did this, I would be tuned by the end of the day, every day. And so slippery slope and and it'd be really easy to get into that.
I'm with you.
It was a unique role, and that was the hardest part of that job for me, because I like to be useful.
No, 100%. And so how hard was it? Not like, I'm sure you were so excited to come back to, the grass side of things and everything. How has it been for you, just like getting back into that role and being a part of it, but also, taking all of the attributes, not just from being a GM, but all the experiences before to bring here to Iowa State,
From the turf side, it's like riding a bike, right?
I love that.
You get it's like riding a mower, right?
Yeah.
You get back on, you know.
You're like, gosh, I missed you.
Really, really did. And I still jump out of bed every day. I get really excited to come to work. I like being here.
Yeah.
We have a great staff, turf staff, and in our building we have maintenance guys and some events people, and so we've got a kind of a mix of everything. But I love being here. But at the same time, right, like my family life and my experience as GM has forced me to be very efficient in my movements, and so when I'm done for the day, I'm done for the day, and I've gotten better. And it was always it's easy in this business to work 100 hours a week and have that as a badge.
Yeah.
And I've gotten away from that.
Good
because
for
it's
you.
not important.
Yeah.
I would rather have 40 very efficient hours versus 160 of them just being to be, right? Like that's not helpful.
Paid hourly,
it's not
that'd
effective.
be awesome.
It would be
I'm
great.
sorry, honey, we're going back to 100.
Then I'd be parked next to the AD, right? So, but obviously, this time of the year is different. Once we get into football and softball and soccer all overlapping, then our weeks go from 40 to 60 or 70. But
obviously.
But those are short.
They're
bursts,
not. Yeah,
right?
yeah,
it's not for 9 months a year.
Game week. You got Saturdays working, Friday nights probably a little bit later. That adds up pretty quickly.
Yeah,
that's the stuff that I think people don't understand. Is like, as a teacher, I don't not work on Saturdays because I have to usually go paint someone's field or something that we do a lot of work in the community and whatnot. That is my time.
Yeah.
That I get no money, but it's okay.
Building the brand.
Trying to. But like, weekends add up quick. I mean, you work a 10-hour day on a weekend, you're at 50 hours. Like, everybody's like, whoa, what? You're jumping way too fast,
really quickly.
Yeah. But
like I'll use the summer as an example, right? We don't have any sports. Obviously, the kids are gone. So now's the time where we can really kind of catch up on and get all of our turf in excellent condition, because when we take off, we take off. But it's been really important to me, and I have tons of support with this. But when my daughter was born, I promised myself that I would never FaceTime her to bed. Like, I'm there every night. I'm there every morning. So
that is awesome.
That's I love my job. I take it extremely seriously, but nothing jumps past
until
that.
SFMA, right?
And so
that doesn't count.
She might come.
Ooh,
we'll see.
That'd be awesome.
Well, Daytona's kind of nice, man. It might bring everybody, but
it's
one of those things.
You for a night, though.
I'll put her to bed and then I'll come out.
Yeah. I have to put my kids to bed. I'm not allowed out in Daytona. I'm bringing students to the.
That's all right, man. You got to lead by example.
Stupid.
I have a saying sometimes where tough days, there's a price to leadership.
There is,
and
my
kids, got a lot of great
my
days.
kids are worth it. So that's the big thing.
So this job has been great in that aspect where my family time is not sacrificed, and Mike and I switch off. He'll pick a weekend and he'll come check all the fields and get some eyes on them.
Yeah.
We have cameras on football, so we can check them at home, but it's still nice to actually get your real eyes on them, and we'll TDR them and see where we're at. And even when I do come out, I bring my daughter.
Your girl's got a problem with that, by the way, Leah, with her cameras.
She learned that from me.
Funny story.
She got it from me. It's my fault.
I know she did. Can I tell you a funny story?
Yeah.
It was the funniest thing ever. So we were at the softball Lily World Series.
Yeah.
And her assistant's name is Max, right? And we're eating lunch, and she pulls out her phone and starts looking at it. And you could see her visibly starting to get frustrated or something. I'm like, what's wrong? She's like, they're burning the grass. I'm like, what? They had a stencil for, they did the Reno Arch or whatever, the bridge, whatever it is. And all you see her stand up and call him. He's like, you're burning the grass. Get it off the thing. I'm like, gosh, that'd be terrifying.
It's
It's just, and it's not just her. It's anybody calling me saying that they're watching me on a camera from across the country.
There's a comfort level there.
No.
You know, she, in fairness and defense of her, she probably learned that from me.
No, and that it's a great thing. You know,
I got in a really bad habit in Reno. I had an iPad at home that had 2 field cameras on, and I would have it on at night. And I would always start the irrigation system after a game or whatever we were doing. And I would watch the first 3 zones because they were around the infield. And I wanted to make sure that those at least went off, right? Because everything else is sand.
It feels good.
Yeah.
We're good.
Our dirt's fine. So I would stay there, and I'd usually drag the warning track and dink around like groundskeepers do at midnight at a baseball field.
You know, normal stuff.
Kate wasn't there, so it's not like I didn't have to rush home. So it's like I'm gonna just dink around.
I hear you.
So I'd get home and I would have my iPad set up, and I knew at any point, like if I woke up at 3 o'clock, I would be like, I should be on zone 16 right now. And I would look over, and if it was on zone 16 and nothing else was stuck,
Leah,
I would go back to sleep.
You're absolved of all your sins now.
So she learned it. Probably
that's
for me.
amazing.
That's my fault.
I'm
but
not gonna lie.
You know, and I don't think that I'm saying anything that anyone listening to this is going to be surprised by, because they're probably like, I'd love to have cameras on my field for irrigation.
Right now, I would. We just sprigged our game field, and I'm like terrified. You know, I've got my kids doing stuff, which something that is really cool about my program is like, obviously, I'm trying to like build our industry, but also like my program, like my kids are like everything to me, right? Yeah. So I knew I was gonna be gone for these 2 weeks, you know, for the event, and I was like, jeez, what am I gonna do? So I have former students who have graduated college and they're assistant superintendents in the area. So they're going in and doing all the fertility apps that need to be done and making sure everything's okay. And I was like, it's a pretty cool moment. You know?
That's great.
You know, just to have that kind of thing. And my current students are doing it with them. So like they can see firsthand that like what you're a part of, you could be this if you want to be, you know?
Yeah.
So
I think it's great to put a little responsibility on them, and, you know.
Yeah, not this one, but, you know, yes.
Yeah.
I had to.
Best way to learn. Jump in the fire, man.
Yeah, no, I'm going to jump in something if this thing doesn't look well when I get back.
Jared Minnick told me, Jared and I have gone back a long time. He's one of my buds. He told me, we phrase mowed the field in Reno in 2015. And he did a couple of passes, and we went down like 3/4 of an inch. We went all the way to the crown. And I was fine with it. I was really excited because I wanted to do this. I wanted to
see it.
I think we were one of the first in North America to do a baseball field, right, on bluegrass. And he looks at me with this big smile, and I hope he sees this. And he's like, hey, best way to learn how to grow grass? Kill it. I was like, all right, man. I was like, we're 2 passes in. Let's go. There's no turning back.
Oh, my gosh.
You can't do 2 passes and stop, so let's go.
Oh, my gosh. That is not nice.
And it was a fun project. And, I mean, we had the field back in 36 days. I mean, it was such a cool experience. And
that's awesome.
And it was a lot of fun. But, yeah. It's grass. Grass is resilient. You look at the pounding that we do to it and how good it looks. I mean, you know, brought up Travis, man. Look how good that field looks in their postseason, which is brutal weather in the Midwest. I mean, that thing is phenomenal.
Yeah.
So, you know, it'll bounce back.
Yeah, you got to hook up with Travis.
Yeah, I'm going to try to at some point. I have his phone number.
I'll let him know.
I really need to get down there and pick his brain about a couple of things. He's so good. He's got some stuff that I'd like to get. So,
what are you interested in? Sorry, you don't have to unless you want to.
He's got that sand seed mixer that I really want to see. I saw it on Twitter.
So we were,
I was like, that thing is
like, oh
awesome.
Man, I could totally go for that.
We got the Ghostbuster backpacks or whatever those things are called. We're gonna use them, and so I saw that and I was like, man, that thing is.
Yeah. So Boyd, you know, was the head of the panel, and it was the innovation panel, and we're sitting there, and Boyd goes, well, Travis, you know, you had a really good thing this year where you did a pre-germination thing and whatnot, and just like pointed Adam, like, speak on this,
Please.
like, because like
Everybody
they haven't done like the entire time. They haven't like pointed a question at anyone, and
Yeah.
it's like I just started laughing because I was like, you really want everybody to know about that right now?
Everybody, man.
No,
The
it was.
second I saw that.
It was really cool. You know, he was talking about how it was like something they used back in 1998 at a golf course. You know, they used to put it out the pre-germ seed, and the mixer was what you took the pre-germinated seed and mixed it in with different things like turfmen and whatnot. I think he said Milorganite. I don't even remember all of it, but he was like, "How do I get that out on the field?" You know, and the temperatures that they were having and whatnot, and everybody's just like, "Oh my god!" And he's like, "I didn't know it was gonna work." It's like he said, "I'm just gonna do it and see
Throw it
what
against
happens."
the wall, man. See what happens.
Yeah, and he's like, "Most of my stuff is a guess, an educated guess, but a guess." You know, it was pretty. Yeah.
At the end of the day, man, seed doesn't grow on the shelf.
Yeah, he's got. I don't even know how he comes up with half the stuff he has. You know, he's got a crazy mind that.
You know, it's I don't know him, but I'm guessing it's a combination of having a lot of different really hard variables and factors, and try it.
Yeah,
What's going to happen? It's
You'll
not going
love
to work.
him. He's awesome. I do have a question relating to Travis, I guess, in a way. Obviously, it's very hot right now. It's 91 out, which, by the way, it's 70 in Virginia with my newly sprigged field, which sucks.
Yeah, trade your weather.
Yes, seriously, though. The Bermuda grass, varieties have changed, and obviously there's a lot more cold hardy, and you haven't worked with it. I know we talked about that. Was there ever discussions, like you obviously know Tim and all those guys, was there ever a discussion where like Bermuda grass was an Iowa State option,
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
They certainly could have had discussions, but I think we have such a great bluegrass climate here.
Yeah.
And quite a bit of our surrounds actually outside of the stadiums are triple blend tall fescue. So and that's been a really
They look great.
move. Yeah, and it's so good. And like our economic development across the street, Sidetown, we picked the same variety of tall fescues to go out in all the islands because there's I think 14 acres of turf over there.
Yeah.
Well, grass is not all maintained.
Yeah.
Some of it's going to be natives and a mixture of stuff. But I don't know that it ever came up. We're really only pretty hot here for a couple of months. Once we get to September, the nights cool off. And so I would say June, July, and August.
Yeah.
Past that,
Not
we're
worth
prime
it.
bluegrass. Yeah. I mean, I think it would be probably more challenging than just getting
Especially
through
with the
few months
hybrid
with
system,
blue.
that's kind of like that would be the benefit of Bermuda grass, right? The footing and everything.
Yeah.
I am interested, like, obviously you don't have many shade issues when it comes to like your facility. What is it like, temperature wise, with the synthetic obviously being stitched in? Like, is there any major concerns with that?
No, because it's below the plant, so it only sticks up about 3/4 of an inch.
Yeah.
So the bluegrass protects it. So we haven't seen any temperature changes or rises.
Yeah.
And the entire field is, the game field is stitched, but part of the sidelines isn't. So we can test both sides and see if there's a difference, and we haven't seen anything.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's cool.
I was just curious, because I'm an idiot and I want to know some things.
Well, but that's a fair question, right? I mean, if you start putting plastic strands of synthetic turf in there, you got to wonder if it's gonna.
There's a chance of something.
It's a good question.
Now, I know we've talked about how this is a Toro tour, and you're a Toro guy,
I have been for a long time. Yeah.
very long time. What has been sort of your experience with Toro equipment, and how has that sort of played a role in your career?
So Toro to me has always been right, like goes back to the day I started in this industry. Right?
Yeah.
Like I got thrown on a Sidewinder, and to me that's always been the Cadillac. And we have a mix of everything in this department. We have some Toro, we have some John Deere, we have some Wiedemann. I have always found Toro turf equipment to be the toughest, most reliable, and kind of bulletproof, right? I've never had an issue in 20 plus years with anything Toro.
Yeah.
I can't say enough good stuff about it. Honestly, I've always liked it, always respected it.
Have you seen any of the new stuff they're putting out? When it comes to like electric and stuff like that.
Electric. I'm on a little bit of a kick right now with robotic stuff.
Ooh.
We have a turf tank. And
How is that for you?
Absolute game changer.
Do you use it on the game field?
So our plan right now, we use it on our practice facility.
Yeah.
We have used it on the game field. What we're planning on doing initially is using it as the stencil.
Of course.
And then we'll fill in logos and end zones and all that extra stuff. But we're going to use it to lay out the field because it does it in just a few hours.
Yeah.
And so the time management save on that is unbelievable. But we've run into a few situations just this spring with football where, we'll get a text at 2:00 on a Friday. Hey, we need the field painted for Saturday because we've got recruits coming in.
Yeah.
Well, if we were traditionally painting, that wipes out the whole rest of the day.
Yeah.
We're staying there until dark. Right?
Yep.
Well, with a turf tank, it can lay out a football field with just hash marks, I think, in an hour and 6 minutes, which is insane. So we've used it a lot on that. I'm starting to dig into more robotic stuff.
Yeah.
Not a secret that the labor pool in the turf industry is not as robust as it once was, right? So
Just, a little bit lower.
it's been challenging, but it also opens the doors for, robotic mowers, robotic painters.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll get to a robotic spray rig anytime soon, but
GPS
never rule
is
it
pretty
out,
good.
right? We do use a GPS sprayer, and so
I think they do have. It's not automatic. You have to be on it, but it's
it's
drive
got a
yourself.
screen you drive, and you can.
Well, no, it drives itself.
I haven't used that one yet.
What's out there?
I know. I don't.
Dr. Straw down at Texas A&M was talking about it up there. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's. I think if we don't lean into it, you can't avoid it. So it's one of those things that it can't hurt. If we don't have people, we need to get the job done still.
Yeah,
I've actually told some of our students that it wouldn't hurt to take some IT classes along with your turf degree, because at some point, look, in 20 years, it might be a turf manager and a fleet of robots.
Yeah, I see your turf tank tablet over there, by the way.
we may get to that point. And so I don't think it would hurt to have an IT background, but it's been great. I was hesitant at first with robotic stuff because I love people and I believe in it.
Yeah.
Ultimately, we got to get the job done. So, and we have a ton of common areas.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Oh, yeah. You just park a couple out there.
But
there are docking stations there. Although it is a college campus, so there's always, there's always that factor of.
Michael and I had a discussion this morning, actually, about what it would be like in our football stadium, on our practice facility, where they're closed and locked, where we could actually have those things. Because really, if you think about it, you're reducing your compaction. You can keep it
lighter mowers.
Why not?
Mow it at night, so when you come in, it's all ready to go.
That, and he and I can be on other things, getting two things done at once.
Go home early.
Go home early.
Ooh.
Yeah, so.
It's a good feeling.
I'm not above trying that stuff out.
No, for sure. And
especially during the summer when all of our students are internships. It's, me and Mike, and we've got some summer help, but none of them are turf kids. Well, we do have one turf kid. He came back early because he's an athlete, but.
Very nice. You got a lot of athletes. That's awesome.
We actually have 3 athletes on our staff right now, all from the track team, 2 cross-country runners from Kenya, and one kid who's from Iowa, and he's the turf student. So it's
very nice.
It's been kind of cool.
That's awesome.
It's fun. We have almost an entire international crew this summer.
That's awesome.
And everybody is very green. So we're talking to the how to start a string trimmer.
Yeah.
This takes mixed fuel, not anything else.
Don't do it.
Yeah. So it's
please don't make my
Mike's
life more
done a great
difficult.
job of training everybody. He kind of took that on, and there are some days that he gets frustrated, but he's doing a great job at taking that on. Hard.
Oh, trust me. Yeah. Tell Mike I feel his pain.
Hey, when do I get to mow Jack? Never. Never. There's 2 people in this department.
I mean, we got to work towards Johnny right now, guys. Jeez. Bump. bump the brakes a little bit, you
Need
know?
you to string trim that fence that's 2 miles long. Thanks.
Yeah, sorry.
You can listen to your music. I don't care.
yeah. You know, enjoy
yeah.
that. Enjoy that.
It's good stuff, man.
He said never.
It's a learning opportunity. But back to your question, I know Toro is working on some stuff, and definitely kept my finger on the pulse with that.
Well, definitely, check out. It's an application for the Grounds Academy next year. We got to see a bunch of stuff at their testing site, which is really cool.
Yeah, when you text me with all the stuff you got to do in that 3-day period, man, I was jealous.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you jealous.
No, it was a good jealousy, man. It
was
happy for you.
It was
cool.
crazy, and everybody keeps telling me, yes, you should have been on the panel. I was like, you had the SFMA president, we had Travis Hogan, the head of the Chiefs, Dr. Straw, who again is an up and coming mastermind of research, and then Jeff McManus, the New York Post best-selling author of Ole Miss landscaping, and then there's me. I was like, I made it.
You sit at the table, man.
Yeah, exactly. No, yeah.
If anything, man, you got the flyer. Like we all saw the flyer. Like, you're on it. I saw it. I was like, good for Drew. Man.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good. Now you've talked about iOS FMA a little bit. You know, how has that been sort of coming back to the space? Obviously, you said you never really left. You were always keeping your toe in it and whatnot. The other thing I do want to talk about, you hosted the FFA students.
Yep.
When, was it the convention or something?
Yeah. So Iowa State hosts that every year.
So we can do the SFMA first, and then we'll get into that.
So Iowa SFMA, I'm actually on the board of directors
nice.
with that as of an hour after I started my job.
Welcome back. We need you.
Well, it was kind of one of those things where they called and they're like, "Yeah, your position needs to be on this," and I was like, "Yeah, man, I'm happy to serve and help and bring to the table whatever I can." But
they're like, "We need your facility."
It's that too, right? And let's sell it.
100%.
It's a really great board. It's a strong group of people. I mean,
who's on it?
Dr. Tomes is on it. Josh Tverdik is on it. And then we have people all over the state. It's basically broke up into regions, and so it's people from all aspects of the turf industry. But it's a strong conference. I mean, we had well over 1,000 people at it. No, not 1,000.
If you're near 1,000, that's insane.
Well, there's only 1,000 people in Iowa. That's why I love it here. No. I love Iowa.
Do you?
I absolutely love it.
Yeah, driving down, I was like, wow, this is just a peaceful place.
It is. I've lived in a lot of places, and this is by far my favorite.
That's awesome.
I love it here. I leave my truck.
I'm
unlocked,
happy for
man.
you.
It's a wonderful way to live here.
That's incredible.
And great people. Iowa nice is a real thing, man. Everybody's nice. It's cool. But no, the conference we do every year in February, really great trade show, some really good education sessions. I was really impressed because I'd never been to it, and we didn't have 1,000 people. We had several hundred, and some really good stuff. Travis was actually supposed to speak at it, but it was right after the Super Bowl, and he ended up having to go to the Super Bowl parade, so we all gave him a pass. Yeah, we were all like, yeah, sounds good.
All right, Travis,
whatever.
You and your big ring.
Because you can't drive up here. No, it's a really cool committee to be on. I'm honored that they asked me. That's awesome. It's always fun to serve on that stuff. So
yeah. Now, you know what I do. So when I text you about it, it was just so cool. FFA it plays a role. I mean, not for me in my program too much. I mean, we have one and it's active, but you obviously you understand that's a big group, you know, and you had a ton of kids there.
We did it 2 days in a row, and I think on the first day we had a couple of hundred. I mean, there was a lot of kids. It was a little overwhelming when they walked out. It's like, man, our tours are usually 20 or 30 people. I mean, we filled up the football field.
Yeah.
And Tomes coordinates all this stuff because he has a pretty big part in that. But 2 days, a couple hundred kids, and cool to get them out there. I don't know if any of it lands, right?
Was there any questions from kids or anything?
We had a few. more from the kids you'd expect, like the farm kids that are kind of thinking about,
Getting
hey,
away from
I'm
the
a football
farm.
player, I'm a sports kid, so maybe this is an avenue, but a lot of curiosity for sure. But, they're young kids. It's cool for them to be out on the football field and, a place they don't typically get to go.
And, we had a huge discussion about it up in Minnesota. The thing is, you don't know who it touched, who
Right.
was like, this is it.
To me, if you get one or two out of that, huge success.
It's just from allowing them to be a part of your facility for an hour, like those are the things that I think that a lot of people are starting to do and are going to start seeing, that growth in the sense of like, I did one thing for 20, 30 minutes. It changed this kid's life forever.
Yeah.
Which entails, we have more industry professionals.
Yeah.
So it's something that I think I text you like immediately. This is so cool. Yeah, it's awesome you were able to do that. So.
It's a really cool thing to do, and right, if we can use our platform, our avenue, whatever you want to call it, to help get more kids in, like what you're doing, right? If we can do it on an Iowa stage, then we'd be silly to say no. Man.
Let me know. I can help you guys start a turf program somewhere.
You never know. We might. We run out of students. We need your students for the summertime.
It's funny. You know how Matt's called me about it. Other people have called me about it. I was like,
sure.
They're high school students. They're 16 and 15 years old.
Find a place for them.
Sure. They're not allowed to live on their own there, Joe.
Well, we got places. It's a college campus. The whole place, the whole town is a school and apartments.
I know, and they would probably love it, but Mom and Dad would kill me.
They would be probably less excited about it as maybe
Just a smidge.
the older, right? If you're closer to senior year,
You gotta say it's summer camp, turf summer camp.
We could make it a summer camp.
Yeah, there you go. A paid summer camp.
Yeah, it's all how you sell it.
Yeah,
you just have to sell it well.
It's how you sell everything, right?
Exactly.
I've kept you so long. I apologize. The thing that I always end on, and it's always something that I love to hear from everyone. And, there are things that our kids learn from industry professionals. It's usually this. What would be your best words of advice for someone who's just getting into this industry, and maybe what is something that you wish you knew when you first started off, and not to make anything better or easier, but like you wish you just knew?
I think I have two things for that question, actually. So I think coming into this industry, be really hungry with questions and don't be afraid to ask them. There's not a stupid question ever in this business. I mean, I still ask a million questions.
Yeah.
And I'm curious by nature. So like I ask a ton of questions.
Yeah.
So I think that saddled right next to networking, right? You go to the STMA and every job I got was probably from networking at the I mean, I'll tell you, I got the job in New York because Tim Wilson in Seattle put me in touch with Bill Deacon, and I met Bill at the STMA, and I'm pretty sure it was in San Antonio.
Yeah.
But I met Bill in San Antonio, and we talked, and we got to know each other a little bit, and then, a year or two later, Bill has a position open up, and I end up in New York. And so I got my job with the Seattle Mariners I sent Bob, I wasn't working in baseball at the time. I went 5 years with the Indians, 2 years at a golf course, and then was trying to get back into baseball.
Yeah.
I emailed Bob asking if I could come over and visit with him because I felt like if I can get in the same room with you and I can talk to you, then I at least have a chance. And that's where my confidence has always been. If I can get in the room,
love that.
Just get me in the room.
Yeah.
And if I don't have it today, maybe something will happen down the road. But network and be hungry for that knowledge. I mean, because this industry changes every single day for the better, right? Like,
yeah.
From the day I started this job until today, nothing is the same.
Yeah.
And the second part, and this is probably more like what I've learned in my career, and it's my character flaw. The way my brain works, if I'm on step one, I'm always thinking about step 2 and 3 while I'm still on 1. And I didn't really learn it until recently. The one thing I probably wish I would have done differently in my career was to focus where my feet were at. Right?
Yeah.
Like when I was in Boston, and I don't know how old I was, I can't remember, but I was always thinking about, okay, I'm a seasonal guy, I want to be a full-time assistant. Right? How can I get to the head groundskeeper position as fast as possible because I want to be in charge?
Yeah.
And so most of my career, and I've had an awesome career, and it's been super fun, and I have friends all over this country, dear friends, and I love them all. I wish I would have focused more on just being there in the present.
Yeah.
Instead of worrying about, right, like my next move.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And that's my personality flaw. And I still, Kate calls me out on it all the time. She's like, you're worrying about stuff that's not even in the picture. Like, stop.
It's not in the frame yet there.
It's like, I'm thinking ahead. That's why you got me.
Yeah,
right? Yeah. and so like, that's what I'm here for. Right?
Yeah,
I just work here. I'm just trying to help.
Yeah.
And so like the biggest thing I would say is, if you're in Seattle, be in Seattle, man. Opportunities are going to come. If you're in New York, be in New York. If you're in Reno, be in Reno. And keep your head down and work your butt off and do right by the people that you're working for, right? They're taking care of you. Do the same for them. And so it's a wonderful industry full of so many great people, and people I are just near and dear to my heart. When I stepped out for 3 years, it's weird because when you leave it, like, you don't talk to people as much, right? Because you're out of the loop
A little bit, yeah.
I tell people all the time, when you leave the turf industry, for a long time, it was like getting out of the concession stand line, right? Like if you leave, like you kind of got to start over sometimes.
Yeah.
And I missed the people in this business so much during the 3 years. So jumping back into it, I sent out text messages like, I'm back. I was like, I was just like, I'm so excited to be back. And, this is a great industry. And I'm so happy that I accidentally chose this as a summer job, because 20 something years later, I'm still got a summer job, and they pay me all right to do it, so learn, be thirsty for knowledge, work your butt off, be where you're at, do a great job, and good things come. I'm a perfect example of if you do some right things, sometimes it works out.
Sometimes
Just a couple times.
Yeah. As long as they keep me around, I'm good.
Yeah. And it's like, it seems like you found the place. You know?
This is where I'm supposed to be, man. And so on that note, I'm where my feet are at. So I'll be here until I'm not.
Yeah. Which will be a long time.
I hope so. if God willing and Iowa State willing, they'll let me hang out for a while. I like it here.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I can't thank you enough for inviting me in and having me here. It's been incredible to see everything and be able to see where you're at and where you're present, So
thanks for having me, man.
Of course, no. Thank
honor
you.
and a privilege to be here. This
I
is
love you.
Super cool, man.
I
Love
love you.
buddy.
Thank you for everything.
Thanks for everything you do, man.
Yeah,
of
course.
You're making humongous waves in this industry doing what you're doing. So thanks
We're trying.
Thanks for letting me be a part of it.
Trying. Yeah, of course. Come on.
Man.
You know that.
Let's take a moment to acknowledge our sponsor, the Toro Company, and their Workman UTX. The Workman UTX is tough and dependable with the highest payload in its class, rugged design, powerful performance, and unmatched versatility. It gets the job done without compromise. Visit Toro's website to learn more.